So I'm gonna wait to see if it's streaming. So basically, I just remembered that right after I finished streaming yesterday, I remembered that I have all these spreadsheets or these text documents with information that I wrote it down from the Turing tests to study later. And when I had to reformat my computer, I ended up losing a lot of these files because some of them I modified them. And then for whatever reason, when I tried to do the backup, it looks like it didn't do the backup. So, but I still have the old versions of the files. And each one of the files has a bunch of stuff, a bunch of topics that I wrote down as I did the task to study later. So then I realized that this is the perfect opportunity to use ChatGPT to study all of this stuff because I can just put the topics and go one by one and then see what outputs it gives me. And I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time on each one. I'm just going to put whatever I wrote down here and put there and see what kind of output that I get. And I also think that I'm not going to read out loud all of them because it's too slow. After I input a bunch of them in the chat, then I'm going to use the text-to-speech to listen to the answers. And after each one, I'm going to reset the thread and start again. Yeah, so let's do it. Now, hopefully, I still have it. I did some chats this morning, so I think it still works. I think this is going to be an effective way to study. I'll put some music in the background while I do this stuff. Maybe it's gonna be too long of a conversation if I do all of them at once. So I might stop in the middle and then turn on the text-to-speech, change the colors of the ones that I visited, and then start again. Yeah, but I think ChatGPT is very useful for this kind of stuff. And the other kind of stuff that I was doing yesterday is not so useful because it's too generic. And this kind of stuff, it seems that it's very good to study programming related stuff because I think a good portion of the training database is probably code from GitHub. Because I've seen that the CEO tweeted, one of the CEOs, I think, not sure if there's one of the founders, I think Sam something, his name, and he tweeted that they had massive help from Azure and Microsoft. And Microsoft owns GitHub. So he was giving them a shout out saying that they helped them a lot. So I imagine that a huge part of the training database is probably stuff related to code. And the good thing about this is that if I put all the comments in the same thread, it remembers the previous answers. So I don't need to be too specific on each question because it's going to relate to the other answers, I think. And hopefully this allows me to go over all of this stuff really fast. Maybe it's better if I write it in a more specific way or rephrase it so that it doesn't get stuck too often. Yeah, and the concern is obviously that some of the information may be incorrect, so I have to be careful about that. But I think it's gonna be, well, hopefully it is intuitive if I see something that it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because a lot of this stuff I already studied, but I don't know in depth, but I know roughly how it works. So if I see something that it doesn't add up too much, then I'm probably gonna be suspicious about it, I think. Because obviously there is always the risk. That was a really complete answer. This one I'm gonna not show, just see if it's not gonna show anything that I can't. Just checking to see if it didn't show my IP. Just a sec. I think we're good. And this is an interesting one. Not sure if this is an error. Yeah, definitely interesting. Not sure why we did the outputs in that way. Yeah, I think someone probably tried to hack this already, I imagine. So I think it's very unlikely that I'm gonna accidentally put a command that is gonna break the thing or whatever. Not too many requests. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna stop on this one. Then turn the text to speech and then listen to everything.
To use cron, you first need to open the cron tab file by running the following command. $cron tab e. This will open the cron tab file in a text editor, where you can add your scheduled tasks. The format for each entry in the cron tab file is as follows. Hashtag minute, 0 to 59, hashtag hour, 0 to 23, hashtag day of the month, 1 to 31, hashtag month, 1 to 12, hashtag day of. To schedule a script on Linux, you can use the cron utility. Cron is a built-in Linux tool that allows you to schedule tasks to be executed at a specified time or interval. To use cron, you first need to open the cron tab file by running the following command. $cron tab e. This will open the cron tab file in a text editor, where you can add your scheduled tasks. The format for each entry in the cron tab file is as follows. Hashtag minute, 0 to 59, hashtag hour, 0 to 23, hashtag day of the month, 1 to 31, hashtag month, 1 to 12, hashtag day of the week, 0 to 6. Sunday to Saturday, hashtag ***** command to execute. For example, to run a script named myscript.sh every day at 12 p.m., you would add the following line to your cron tab file. 012 ****/ path / to /myscript.sh. Once you have added your scheduled tasks to the cron tab file, save the file and exit the editor. Cron will automatically start running your scheduled tasks at the specified times. It's worth noting that the cron tab file uses a specific time format, and the times you specify are interpreted according to the server's time zone. So be sure to check your server's time zone and adjust your scheduled tasks accordingly. To record all outputs and commands in Linux, you can use the script command. The script command allows you to record a terminal session, including all the outputs and commands you enter. To use the script command, simply run the following command in your terminal. $script output file. This will start the script command and create a new file called output file where the recording will be saved. You can then use your terminal as usual, and all outputs and commands will be saved to the output file. Once you are done recording, simply press Ctrl+D to stop the script command and save the recording to the output file. You can then view the recorded output by using the cat command. $cat output file. You can also specify additional options when running the script command, such as the file format, e.g. T for plain text or C for compressed file, or the name of the command interpreter, e.g. Q for quiet mode or E for exit on error. For more information about the script command and its options, you can refer to the script command manual by running the following command. $man script. It's worth noting that the script command is not installed by default on all Linux systems. To check if the script command is installed on your system, simply run the following command. $which script. If the script command is not installed, you can install it using your Linux distribution's package manager. For example, on Ubuntu, you can install the script command using the apt package manager. $sudo apt install bstutls. Once the script command is installed, you can use it to record your terminal sessions as described above. To create a client key, you will need to generate a private key and a public key using a cryptographic tool such as OpenSSL. The private key is a secret key that is used to encrypt and decrypt data, while the public key is used to verify the authenticity of the private key. To generate a private key and a public key using OpenSSL, you can use the following steps. Open a terminal and run the following command to generate a private key. $OpenSSL genersa out client.key2048. This will create a new private key file called client.key with a length of 2048 bits. Run the following command to generate a public key from the private key. $open/sa and client.key pub out client.pub. This will create a new public key file called client.pub that corresponds to the private key client.key. To verify the content of the private key, you can run the following command. $open/sa text in client.key. This will display the content of the private key in a human-readable format. To verify the content of the public key, you can run the following command. $open/sa text in client.pub. This will display the content of the public key in a human-readable format. Once you have generated the private and public keys, you can use the private key for encrypting and decrypting data, and you can use the public key to verify the authenticity of the private key. It's important to keep the private key secret and secure, as anyone with access to the private key can decrypt the encrypted data. When you log out from an SSH session, any commands or processes that were running in the SSH session will be terminated. This is because an SSH session is a remote shell connection, and when the connection is terminated, any processes or commands running in the remote shell are also terminated. If you want to keep a command or process running even after logging out of an SSH session, you can use the nohub command. The nohub command stands for no hangup, and it allows you to run a command in the background without terminating it when you log out of the SSH session. For example, to run a command called mycommand using nohub, you can use the following command. $nohub mycommand and. This will run the mycommand command in the background and prevent it from being terminated when you log out of the SSH session. You can use the jobs command to see a list of background jobs that are running, and you can use the fg command to bring a background job to the foreground. It's worth noting that the nohub command is not a substitute for proper process management. If you want to keep a process running after logging out of an SSH session, it is better to use a process manager such as systemd or supervisor to manage and monitor the process. These tools provide advanced features such as automatic restarting of failed processes and real-time monitoring of process status. grep is a command line utility that allows you to search for text patterns in files or standard input. The grep command uses regular expressions to match the specified search pattern, and it prints the matching lines to the standard output. To use grep, you need to provide two arguments, the search pattern and the input file or standard input. For example, to search for the word hello in a file called mifile, you can run the following grep command. $grep hello mifile. This will search for the word hello in the mifile file and print any lines that contain the word hello to the standard output. You can also use the I option to ignore the case of the search pattern, and the W option to match the whole word instead of a substring. In addition to searching for text patterns in files, the grep command can also be used to filter the output of other commands. For example, you can use the grep command to search for specific text in the output of the ls command, as follows. $ls grep hello. This will search for the word hello in the output of the ls command, and print any lines that contain the word hello to the standard output. The grep command also supports advanced search patterns using regular expressions. Regular expressions are a powerful tool for matching complex text patterns, and they allow you to use special characters and meta-characters to define the search pattern. For example, to search for lines that start with the word hello, you can use the following regular expression. $grep, $hello, mifile. This will search for lines that start with the word hello in the mifile file and print them to the standard output. For more information about regular expressions and how to use them with the grep command, you can refer to the grep manual by running the following command. $man grep. In summary, grep is a useful command line utility that allows you to search for text patterns in files or standard input. It uses regular expressions to match the specified search pattern and prints the matching lines to the standard output. To create a new file out of the concatenation of two other files, you can use the cat command in Linux. The cat command stands for concatenate, and it allows you to combine the contents of multiple files into a single file. To use the cat command, you need to provide the names of the files you want to concatenate as arguments. For example, to create a new file called output.txt by concatenating the contents of file 1.txt and file 2.txt, you can run the following cat command. $cat file 1.txt file 2.txt output.txt. This will create a new file called output.txt that contains the combined contents of file 1.txt and file 2.txt. You can then view the contents of the output.txt file using the cat command or any other text editor. It's worth noting that the cat command doesn't add any separators or new lines between the concatenated files, so the output file will contain the contents of the input files without any breaks or separators. If you want to add separators or new lines between the concatenated files, you can use the echo command and the operator to append the contents of each file to the output file. For example, $echo, file 1.txt, output.txt, $cat file 1.txt, output.txt, $echo, file 2.txt, output.txt, $cat file 2.txt, output.txt. This will create a new file called output.txt that contains the combined contents of file 1.txt and file 2.txt, with separators and new lines between the concatenated files. In summary, the cat command is a useful tool for concatenating the contents of multiple files into a single file. It allows you to quickly combine the contents of multiple files into a single output file without adding any separators or new lines. To find all files in a folder in Linux, you can use the find command. The find command is a powerful utility that allows you to search for files and directories based on their name, size, timestamp, and other attributes. To use the find command, you need to provide the path to the directory you want to search as an argument. For example, to find all files in the current directory, you can run the following find command. $find. This will search the current directory, and all its subdirectories, and print the names of all files and directories that were found. You can also specify additional options and criteria to filter the search results. For example, to find only files with a specific name, you can use the name option, as follows. $find. Name star.txt. This will search for files with the .txt This will search for files with the .text extension in the current directory and all its subdirectories, and print the names of the files that were found. You can also use the type option to search for files of a specific type. For example, to search for only regular files, not directories or symbolic links, you can use the type F option, as follows. $find. Type F. This will search for regular files in the current directory and all its subdirectories, and print the names of the files that were found. In summary, the find command is a useful tool for finding files in a directory. It allows you to search for files based on their name, size, timestamp, and other attributes, and it provides many options and criteria for filtering the search results. For more information about the find command and its options, you can refer to the find manual by running the following command. $man find. To get summary information about the number of connections based on the IP address to port 443 in Linux, you can use the netstat command. The netstat command is a built-in utility that allows you to view information about network connections, routing tables, and network interfaces. To get summary information about the number of connections to port 443, you can use the following netstat command. $netstat n grep 443 awk, print $5, cut D, F1 sort Unix C sort N. This command will use the netstat command.
I just realized that I have some questions as well about web scraping and the connection, particularly about the URL lib library in Python, URL lib tree, and how it connects and maintains pool, I think it's manager pool or pool manager or something like that. How it maintains connections and how it opens the connection, and what is the bridge between the operational system and the URL lib library and request library, because I remember studying that a lot of times, because I had problems with Web3 connections where I got an error there, and then I spent a bunch of time trying to see or look for the documentation on how to reset all the connections, and I tried the commands to clean the pools, but they didn't work. And I wanted to understand better how it connects, how this connection works between proxies and the operational system and the programming languages. So I'm probably gonna ask questions related to that as well once I'm finished with this.
This command will use the netstat command to view the network connections, and then it will filter the output to show only the connections to port 443. It will then use the awk command to extract the IP address of the remote host, and the cut command to remove the port number from the IP address. The sort command will then sort the IP addresses in alphabetical order, and the unique command will count the number of occurrences of each unique IP address. Finally, the sort command will sort the output by the number of occurrences. The output of this command will be a list of IP addresses and their corresponding number of connections to port 443, sorted by the number of connections. For example, the output might look something like this. 1.1.2.3.422.3.4.543. This indicates that there was one connection from the IP address 1.2.3.4 to port 443, two connections from the IP address 2.3.4.5 to port 443, and four connections from the IP address 3.4.5.6 to port 443. It's worth noting that the netstat command and the other utilities used in this command, e.g. grep, awk, cut, sort, and unique, are not installed by default on all Linux systems. To check if these utilities are installed on your system, you can run the following commands. $which netstat, $which grep, $which awk, $which cut, $which sort, $which unique. If any of these utilities are not installed, you can install them using your Linux distribution's package manager. For example, on Ubuntu, you can install the nettools package, which includes the netstat command, using the apt package manager. $sudo apt install nettools. Once the netstat command and the other utilities are installed, you can use the netstat command as described above to get summary information about the number of connections to port 443 based on the IP address. To deploy a static page, you will need to first create the static page using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Once you have created the static page, you can use a web server to serve the page to users. There are many web servers available for serving static pages, such as Apache, Nginx, and Light. To use one of these web servers, you will need to install and configure the web server on your server machine, and then copy the static page files to the web server's document root directory. For example, to deploy a static page using the Apache web server, you can use the following steps. Install the Apache web server on your server machine. On Ubuntu, you can use the apt package manager to install the Apache web server. $sudo apt install Apache 2. Configure the Apache web server to serve the static page. This typically involves modifying the Apache configuration files to specify the document root directory and other settings. For more information about configuring Apache, you can refer to the Apache documentation. Copy the static page files, e.g. index.html, styles.css, scripts.js, to the Apache document root directory. The default document root directory for Apache on Ubuntu is /var/www/html. Restart the Apache web server to apply the changes. On Ubuntu, you can use the following command to restart Apache. To convert a timestamp to your local date and time in Linux, you can use the...
Oh, it didn't finish here. Damn. I think now it's too late. Sometimes I've seen that people use... Once it does this, you have to type continue, or continue from the last output or something like that, and then it will give you the full output. But for some reason, sometimes it doesn't give you the full response. I think it has to do with the computation, for each answer, but I'm not really sure how it works exactly.
To convert a timestamp to your local date and time in Linux, you can use the date command. The date command is a built-in utility that allows you to display and format the current date and time, or a specified timestamp. To convert a timestamp to your local date and time using the date command, you need to specify the timestamp as an argument to the D option. The D option allows you to specify a date and time string that will be converted to the local time zone. For example, to convert the timestamp 161.168.5987 to your local date and time, you can use the following date command. $date D at 161.168.5987. This will convert the timestamp 161.168.5987 to your local date and time, and print the result to the standard output. The output will be in the default date and time format, which is typically something like Sunday, December 6th, 1546 and 27 seconds EST 2021. You can also use the R option to format the output in the RFC 2822 date and time format, which is commonly used in email headers. For example, $date RD at 161.168.5987. This will convert the timestamp 161.168.5987 to your local date and time, and print the result in the RFC 2822 format, which will be something like Sunday, December 6th, 2021, 1546 and 27 seconds -0500. In summary, the date command is a useful tool for converting timestamps to your local date and time. It allows you to specify a timestamp as an argument to the D option, and it. To get the IPv4 address on all network interfaces in Linux, you can use the IP command. The IP command is a built-in utility that allows you to view and manage the network settings of network interfaces. To get the IPv4 address on all network interfaces using the IP command, you can use the following command. $IP-4 address show. This will
Alright, network interfaces. I also asked a couple of questions later after I closed the stream, and then I wrote down the answers here to search for later about hosting, software design, and site analytics. So, network interfaces. I'm gonna ask questions related to this later. And URL lib3.
This will show the IPv4 address, network mask, and other information for all network interfaces on your system. The output will be something like this. 1. Low, MTU 65536 disk no Q state unknown group default CLIN 1009 at 127.0.0.1/8 scope host low valid forever preferred forever 2, in 0s3. Lower up MTU 1500 disk codal state up group default CLIN 1009 at 192.168.1.100/24 BRD 192.168.1.255 scope global dynamic in 0. This output shows the IPv4 address, network mask, and other information for the low, loopback, in 0s3, and WLP3s0 network interfaces. If you only. To get a random letter or digit in a string in Linux, you can use the shove command. The shove command is a built-in utility that allows you to shuffle lines of text or generate random numbers. To get a random letter or digit in a string using the shove command, you can use the following command. $shove n1 ABCDEFGHIJKLMNOPQRSTUVWXYZ0123456789. This command will shuffle the list of letters and digits, A through Z and 0 through 9, and print a single random element from the list. The output will be a single random letter or digit, such as H or 3. You can also use the shove command to generate a random string of a specific length. For example, to generate a random string of 10 letters or digits, you can use the following command. $shove n10 ABCDEFGHIJK. This will generate a random string of 10 letters or digits, such as I3N8P1J0Q7. In summary, the shove command is a useful tool for generating random letters or digits in a string. It allows you to specify the characters to shuffle and the number of elements to print, and it can generate random strings of any length. For more information about the shove command and its options, you can refer to the shove manual by running the free research preview. ChatGPT is optimized for dialogue.
And the only problem with the text-to-speech is that I have to reload every time when there's new information. And then it resets the thread here. That's why I wanted to do as many as possible in the first run. So also thinking about asking questions about Scrapy, but I'm not sure how efficient it's gonna be because it's hard to come up with good questions. But I was thinking about asking, can you explain how Scrapy works in depth or source code or something like that? But I think it's unlikely to get a good result from that. I'm waiting a little bit because I don't want to hit the limit of requests. I'm stuck at the... I was able to improve my record since the last time, but I'm stuck. It's almost impossible for me to write anywhere close to this. Actually, I got a couple of times close to this, but it's extremely difficult. And I think I've been doing too much of these short tasks. So longer tasks are better for accuracy. Because my accuracy fucks me up. Fuck. God damn. Almost. Yeah, if I didn't make too many mistakes, I think I would be able to beat it. You know, with time, I'm gonna be able to. Yes, let's try again. Yeah. I'm just gonna practice typing while I wait for this, because I don't wanna... There's only 2 left, and then I don't wanna restart the thing just to ask the last 2 questions. And if I start listening now, then I will have to reset the thread to read through everything again. Or maybe I'll read the last 2 ones out loud. That can be an option as well. But it takes too much energy to read out loud, and I want to go through some of these at least. I think right after this I'm gonna ask the questions about URL, lib3, and scrape. That might take a long time as well. and the questions about proxy, because I'm very curious about that. The thing is, I think that these questions here are much better to ask, the ones that I have here. I'm gonna get much better responses than asking, because the questions about Scrapey, I have no idea how to ask in a good way. And these questions are already structured based on things that are being tested, so they're probably relevant, and there's probably a lot of data about them, which means that they're probably good to ask GPT. And maybe I'll wait a little bit and then I'll try again. Fuck. I think I'm gonna go for accuracy instead of speed. Otherwise, and do a bigger test. Fuck. Too many mistakes. Yeah. Not training as often in 60 minutes, because usually I train while I'm watching a video, so. Let's see if it works now. I'm gonna train more longer time frames, so I focus more on accuracy. I think that's gonna help improve this speed. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to reset the threads to be able to ask again, so I'm just gonna play this stuff here. Oh, please work. Nice.
This command allows you to create and manage multiple terminal sessions within a single terminal window. To use screen, first run the command screen to create a new session. This will open a new terminal window within your current terminal session. You can then use this new terminal window to run any commands you want, just as you would in a regular terminal session. To switch between different sessions, use the screen R command. This will display a list of all available sessions, and you can then select the session you want to switch to by typing its number and pressing enter. For example, to switch to the second available session, you would type screen R2 and press enter. You can also use the screen ls command to list all available sessions, along with their status and other information. This can be helpful for keeping track of your different sessions and managing them. Overall, the screen command is a useful tool for managing multiple terminal sessions in Bash, and it can be especially helpful for recovering previous sessions. The setx command in Bash enables trace mode, which is a debugging mode that prints each command before it is executed, along with its arguments and the values of all variables. This can be helpful for tracking down errors or bugs in your Bash scripts, as it allows you to see exactly what is happening at each step. To use setx, simply type the command at the beginning of your Bash script, before any other commands. This will turn on trace mode for the entire script. To turn off trace mode, you can use the set plus x command. Here is an example of how setx can be used in a Bash script. #bin/bash #enables trace mode setx #define a variable myvar equals 5 #print the value of the variable echo $myvar. In this example, when the script is run, setx will cause each command to be printed before it is executed. So, the output of the script would look something like this. Plus myvar equals 5 plus echo 5. As you can see, setx prints each command, along with its arguments and the values of any variables, making it easy to see what is happening in the script. A cron job is a Linux utility used for scheduling tasks to be executed automatically at a specified time or interval. These tasks, also known as cron jobs, are typically defined using a cron tab, cron tables, file, which is a text file that contains a list of commands to be executed at specified times. To create a cron job, you can add a new entry to the cron tab file using the cron tab e command. This will open the cron tab file in a text editor, allowing you to add a new cron job to the file. Each cron job is defined using a specific syntax, which consists of 6 fields. ****** command. The first 5 fields specify the time when the command should be executed, using the following format. Minute, hour, day, month, weekday command. For example, to run a command every day at 6:30 a.m., you would use the following syntax. 36 ***** command. The last field is the command itself, which can be any valid Linux command or script. Here is an example of a complete cron job that runs a script every day at 6:30 a.m. 36 *****/path/to/script.sh. Once you have added your cron job to the cron tab file, it will be executed automatically at the specified time. You can also use the cron tab l command to view the current contents of the cron tab file, and the cron r command to remove a cron job. Overall, cron jobs are a useful tool for automating tasks in Linux, and they can be used to schedule almost any type of command or script. In the Bash shell, the location of the current script is stored in the $0 variable. This variable contains the name and path of the script file, allowing you to access and manipulate it within your script. For example, if your script is located at /home/user/miscript.sh, you could use the $0 variable to print the location of the script like this. #bin/bash #print the location of the script echo. The script is located at $0. When this script is run, it will output the following. The script is located at /home/user/miscript.sh. In addition to the $0 variable, the Bash shell also provides several other special variables that can be used to access information about the current script and its environment. These variables include $1, $2, and so on, which contain the first, second, and subsequent arguments passed to the script when it is run. For example, if you run your script like this, /miscript.sh arg1 arg2, you could access the arguments passed to the script using the $1, $2, and so on variables like this. #bin/bash #print the first argument echo. The first argument is $1. #print the second argument echo. The second argument is $2. When this script is run, it will output the following. The first argument is arg1. The second argument is arg2. Overall, the $0 variable and other special variables in Bash provide a convenient way to access information about the current script and its environment, allowing you to write more powerful and flexible scripts. There are several ways to back up files with a complex folder structure in a way that makes them easy to recover. One approach is to use a file compression tool, such as tar, to create a single archive file containing all of the files in the folder structure. This archive file can then be backed up to a remote location, such as a cloud storage service, and easily restored in the event of data loss. Another approach is to use a backup tool that is specifically designed for backing up complex folder structures. These tools typically offer features such as incremental backups, versioning, and data deduplication, which can make it easier to manage and restore your backups. To use a backup tool, you would first install the tool on your system and configure it to perform backups according to your desired schedule and settings. You would then specify the folder or folders that you want to back up, and the tool will automatically create backups of those folders at the specified times. When it comes time to restore your backups, the backup tool will typically provide a user-friendly interface that allows you to browse and select the specific files or folders that you want to restore. This can make it much easier to recover your data, even if you have a complex folder structure with many nested subfolders. Overall, using a file compression tool or a dedicated backup tool are both effective ways to back up a complex folder structure and make it easy to recover in the event of data loss. If x is set to 10 and the expression $x$ is evaluated, the output will be 1010. This is because the dollar character is used in Bash to indicate a variable, and the expression $x$ is equivalent to concatenating the value of the x variable twice. In Bash, the value of a variable can be accessed by placing a dollar character before the variable name. For example, if x is set to 10, the expression $x would evaluate to 10. In the expression $x$, the first dollar character indicates the start of a variable, and the second dollar character indicates the end of a variable. This means that the expression is equivalent to x10, where x is the value of the x variable and 10 is the string 10. Concatenating this value with itself results in the final output of 1010. Here is an example of how this expression would be evaluated in a bash script. Hashtag /bin/bash hashtag set the value of x to 10 x equals 10 hashtag evaluate the expression x result equals $x hashtag print the result echo. The result is $result. When this script is run, it will output the following. The result is 1010. Overall, the output of x with x set to 10 is 1010, because this expression concatenates the value of the x variable twice. An error occurred.
I'll try one more time and then I'm going to reset the thing. Yeah. Or maybe I should do this. Maybe it's in the limit, not the speed, but in the limit of inputs that you can use per thread. The way that these too many requests work. I think I'm gonna ask how, can you tell me how the scrape library in Python connects to the internet? Yeah, but that is probably not a good question because it's gonna give me a generic answer about that. It depends on the situation and something like that, or that you can't use the internet. But I think it's worth trying to see what happens. Something along those lines. Or ask about. I think I'm gonna start off by asking about URL lib and requests in Python. Okay.
To find all files that were created from 3 days ago to now, you can use the find command in bash. The basic syntax for this command is find type f time -3. This will search for all files, type f, in the specified directory that have a modification time within the last 3 days, -3. For example, to find all files in the current directory that were created from 3 days ago to now, you can use the following command. Find type f time -3. This will search for all files in the current directory and its subdirectories, and print the names of any files that were created within the last 3 days. Note that the time option only works with whole days, so if you want to find files that were created within a specific time range, you will need to use a different approach. For example, you can use the time or time options to find files based on their creation or access time, respectively. You can also use the newRMT option to specify a specific time range, like this. Find type f newRMT 3 days ago. This will search for all files in the current directory that were created after 3 days ago, up to the current time. You can also use the newRMT or newROT options to search based on the file's creation or access time, respectively. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. To back up the files to a folder with the name /op/backup $date plus %y%m%d, you can use the cp command in bash. The basic syntax for this command is cp. This will copy the files or directories specified by to the location specified by. In your case, you can use the date command to generate the current date in the format %y%m%d, and use this to create the destination folder. For example, to copy all files in the current directory to the /op/backup folder with the current date as the name, you can use the following command. cpr /op/backup $date plus %y%m%d. This will recursively copy all files and directories in the current directory, to the /op/backup folder with the current date appended to the end of the folder name. The R option tells CP to copy directories recursively, so it will copy all files and subdirectories in the source directory as well. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. Free research preview, ChatGPT.
I think blockchain already studied a lot, so I'm gonna look for one, maybe Spark or data engineer. I think Spark. Spark should be a good one. Let me see if I have any other. Redis maybe. Yeah, I'll do Redis first and then because there's less stuff than Spark. But first, let me ask questions about Scrapy and URL lib tree. We need not module in Windows show. No, this was a lot more useful than I expected the response to be. I wasn't expecting to give me anything actually. The WinNet module provides an interface to the low-level Windows Internet APIs. Low-level Windows Internet APIs. Which allows Python to connect to the internet on Windows. When you see your libtree or request to make a request, when you use this should to make a request, they use the WinNet APIs to establish a connection to the internet and send the request. Once the request is sent, WinNet waits for a response from the server, and then passes the response back to your libtree or request, which can then be used by your Python codes. Now I'm questioning whether or not which pathway to go with. I want to ask about this low-level APIs, but I also want to ask how does rel libtree caches or stars recent connections. I think I'm gonna ask this one first because this one is less likely to give me a response that is gonna be good, I think. Maybe you should ask, does it use a proxy or... So I think that this WinNet uses a proxy and URL lib connects to the WinNet. But I think it should be interesting to ask, does URL libtree use a proxy? Connects. Yeah, it's probably not. It doesn't make sense to use a proxy to connect to WinNet. So I think WinNet uses a proxy. Maybe how does WinNet work? Or can you give me the low-level Windows Internet APIs provide a way for applications to access the internet on Windows. They provide a set of functions and data structures that allow applications to establish connections to remote servers and receive data. and manage the transfer of data. The APIs are designed to be used by applications that need a high degree of control over how they access the internet, such as web browsers, FTP clients, and email programs. What are the names of the Windows intranets of the low-level APIs? APIs are part of the WinDNet module, which is included with the Windows operating system. Some of the functions and data structures in the WinDNet module that are used for accessing the internet include Internet Open. Yeah, this is very useful. Let me go back to see. I think I'm just gonna copy the whole thing because everything is very useful. Internet Open, initialize the WinDNet library and returns a handle to the internet sessions. Internet Connect establishes a connection to a remote server. HTTP open request opens an HTTP request. HTTP send request sends a request through a server. HTTP query info retrieves information about an HTTP client. Internet close handle closes a handle to an internet session through RR request. These are just a few examples of the functions available in the WinDNet module. There are many more functions and data structures that provide a wide range of functionality for accessing the window. So now I'm gonna go back and ask this. So this one is done. And then after that, I'm gonna ask how does Scrapey connect with the internet. Really maintains a pool of connections through each server that it has connected to. When a request is made to a server that URL lib3 has already connected to, it will reuse one of the connections from the pool rather than establishing a new connection. This helps to improve performance by reducing the overhead establishing new connections of each request. Maintains a separate pool of connections for each combination of hostname, ports, and request scheme that it has connected to. When a new request is made, URL lib3 will look for a connection in the appropriate pool and will use it if one is available. If no connections are available, URL lib3 will create a new connection and add it to the pool for future use. In addition to maintaining a pool of connections, URL lib3 also has the ability to store information about recent connections in the connection cache. The connection cache is used to store information about connections that have been recently closed, such as the time when the connection was closed and the number of bytes transferred over the connection. The information can be used. So can you explain more in depth how the connection cache works? Yeah. Think I'm gonna have to reset the thread again. Hopefully not. There's so many questions that I wanna ask still. I think after that I'm gonna ask about Scrapey and then I'm gonna move on to the Redis thing here. Redis and then Spark. I wanna ask questions about the whole infrastructure of machine learning and artificial intelligence, about Kafka, Spark, the big data pools, how does everything work? Because I think that's the biggest gap in my knowledge now, aside from some of these libraries. But then I think these libraries about JavaScript are a lot easier to understand than the whole machine learning stuff. So GPT-3 is probably maybe TypeScript as well. I remember there's a lot of stuff in TypeScript. Oh, maybe, yeah, I lost the file that I had most of the things that I wanted to ask about the TypeScript. Oh, this one should be interesting as well. I think this one was from a video I saw a long time ago, and he was talking about the stuff that you need to, not that you need to know, but that is good to know to get a job. And yeah, maybe this one is also useful. Let me do the Redis first though. The connection cache in your lib tree is used to store information about connections that have been recently closed. This information is stored in a dictionary where the keys are the connection parameters, hostname part, and request scheme, and the values are the details of the closed connections. For example, when a connection is closed, your lib may add an entry to the connection cache with the following structure. This entry would be added to the connection cache with the hostname part and request scheme as the key. The closed date value would be the time when the connection was closed, and the bytes transferred value would be the number of bytes that were transferred over the connection. When your lib tree needs to establish a new connection to a server, it will first check the connection cache to see if there are any entries for the server. If there are, your lib tree will use the information in the cache to determine whether it should reuse an existing connection from the pool or create a new one. For example, if the closed at value for a connection in the cache is recent, your lib tree may decide to reuse the connection instead of creating a new one. This can help improve performance. I think this is the same as the other one. However, the connection cache is not used by default and must be enabled by the developer. To enable the connection cache, you can use the connection cache TTL parameter when creating a pool manager object in your lib tree. This parameter specifies the time to leave TTL for entries in the connection cache, which is the maximum amount of time that an entry will be kept in the cache before it is moved, for example, to enable connection with TTL. Okay, this would, so what is the parts of the codes from lib3 that makes the connection we need? That's yeah. One thing that came to my mind as I was reading that is I wonder what's gonna be the response if I say thank you after the question. I'm curious to see what it's gonna say. So maybe that after that I'm gonna say that just to see. And we need that module in the blah blah blah. So part of the code that makes the connection is the connection class. Yeah, this is very useful if it's right. This class is responsible for managing a single connection to a remote server and using the WinNet functions to establish the connection, send requests, and receive responses. Here's an example of the connection class in your lib tree. So that's WinNet library you gotta handle to the internet session. This is a simplified version of the connection class in your lib tree, but it shows how the WinNet functions are used to establish connection to a remote server and send and HTTP requests. When a connect method is called, it uses the internet open, internet connect functions from Uninet to initialize the library and establish a connection to the remote server. When a request method is called, it uses the HTTP open request and HTTP send request functions from Uninet to open a request, handle and send the request to the server. And when the response method is called, it uses the HTTP query info function from Uninet to get the response from the server. Finally, the close method uses the internet close handle function from Uninet to close the open handles. Overall, the connection class in urllib3 uses the Uninet module to establish connection and send HTTP requests on Windows. It provides a higher level interface for working with Uninet that is easier to use and more intuitive for Python developers. Very interesting stuff. I'm gonna copy this code. It's fine. Because I'm definitely gonna roll lib3 Uninet ChatGPT. I was trying to edit the if else video that I made, the clips, but DaVinci Resolve kept crashing. I think I'm gonna eventually have to buy a new GPU, a better GPU. Because I think mine is not good enough to do animations with DaVinci Resolve. And this is the file that I remember that because this is the file that I was using, the folder project that I was using to explain the concepts. So let me see. Let me type thank you to see what it says. What it says. I think this is enough for the because I can research after. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Let me know if you have any other questions. Yeah, that's crazy. Uh, I'm gonna ask about Scrapey now. How does the Scrapey library in Python connects to the internet? Scrapey library in Python uses the urllib3 library to make HTTP requests to the internet. urllib3 is a powerful HTTP client library that provides support for connection pooling, connection caching, and other advanced features. When Scrapey needs to make a request to a web server, it uses urllib3 to establish a connection and send a request. urllib3 uses the Uninet module in Windows to make HTTP requests. Interface, low level, blah blah blah. When you use Scrapey to make a request, it uses urllib3. Okay, so can you show me the code Scrapey uses to connect to urllib3? I think requests also uses urllib3. I think the urllib3 comes with Python, I think. Either that or request comes with Python and then urllib3 depends on request, something like that. But I think urllib3 is more, it comes with Python and then requests uses urllib3 as well. So urllib3 is the lower level And then apparently WinNet that I didn't know about and I couldn't find. Yeah, maybe it's probably because I didn't know, obviously, but as I was reading through the files, I have to go back to the videos and see what I was doing. Because the issue is that there's always too many libraries to study. So maybe I saw this WinNet somewhere, but I didn't know that it was the essential one. And then documentation, it doesn't say anything about it. Here's an example of how Scrapy might use the URL libtree library to make an HTTP request. Make a GET request to our URL. Yeah. This code uses the pool manager class from URL libtree to create an HTTP client, which is then used to make GET requests to the specified URL. The request method returns a URL. So, what is the best way to scrape a JavaScript site using Scrapy? Maybe I should ask, let me see if I remember. I think it's dev docs. After I ask this question, I'm gonna ask this specific question if you can scrape the exact thing that I was trying to scrape some time ago using Scrapy, like the documentation of dev docs or something like that, which is a free code camp website that has all the documentation for a bunch of different languages. So if you can show me that, then I could use that to create the tree structure of languages, the syntax of languages. Yeah, that would be interesting. Maybe I can ask questions about network X as well, to see if I can use this to help me modify the library to do the things that I wanted to do. But this question, I think, is too generic to give me a good answer. But the other one might be possible. Yeah, I think this is this one. I was trying to scrape this website with Scrapy, and it's very hard because it uses JavaScript, and I didn't know how to combine Scrapy with Playwright to get all the information that I wanted. Because I think what I wanted to do is go over all of these things here and then scrape everything pretty much, all the documentation, and then create a tree structure of all the information for each language. But I think you have to click on one of them, and then as you click, it increases. And then I was trying to use Playwright to expand and contract this stuff, and then click on each one and then get the information. And then if I was able to get all this information, then create a tree structure with the syntax, which is essentially what I'm trying to do in a manual way, but on the videos that I'm doing to teach people how to Python and JavaScript at the same time. Because the idea is to create a tree structure with the syntax and for each language, and then be able to click on the nodes and go to the documentation for each one, and then color the nodes based on what parts are the same. The syntax is the same for different languages. Scraping a JavaScript powered website with Scrapy can be a bit challenging because Scrapy does not execute JavaScript by default. This means that if a website relies on JavaScript to generate content, Scrapy will not be able to see that content when it makes a request to the website. One way to scrape a JavaScript powered website with Scrapy is to use a headless web browser such as Selenium to load this website and execute the JavaScript code. This will allow Scrapy to see the content that is generated by the JavaScript and scrape it. Here's an example of how you might use Selenium with Scrapy to scrape JavaScript powered websites. Yeah, but it doesn't work, I think. Because it's gonna, maybe this executes script. My script selector. And this is a script selector to extract data from the web, from the HTML. Interesting. In this example, we'll create a WebDriver instance and use it to load the website and execute the JavaScript code. On the page, this generates the HTML for the page, including any content that is generated by the JavaScript. Then use script is selector class to extract data from the HTML and print the title of the page. Using headless web browser like Selenium can be a bit slower and more resource intensive than using script alone, but it can be a useful way to scrape JavaScript powered websites. How would you scrape the docs website to extract all information about the JavaScript, the core implementation? I think I'm gonna write, yeah. Yeah, this now that I think about it, this actually can be really useful. Sure, if I can use this for a long time, obviously, it can be really useful to go back to the project that I had of creating modifying the network X library, and then building a website that allows people to visually see everything that is going on the script, the thing that is invisible to the naked eye when you're just looking at the source code, and also be able to click the stuff and open the files in Python or the documentation. This content may violate our content policy. If you believe this should be error, please submit them. I think this is, I'm pretty sure this is an open source site, and I remember getting all the information with the other library. They make it available in the GitHub, and they use Ruby, I think. Yeah, I remember I got the information using Ruby with the stuff that they provide there, the instructions. So I'm pretty sure that it's not illegal to scrape these websites. To scrape the DAX.io website and extract all the information about the JavaScript. But I think obviously this is just probably a general safety guard to prevent people from scraping other websites that may be illegal. So same thing with the copyright system, I think, with YouTube or any other site where they strike first and then they review later. Or the copyright claim and then review later. To script the docs.io website and extract all the information about the JavaScript documentation, you could use scrape it to make a request to the website and extract the relevant data in response. Here's an example of how you might do this. Scrape caller. Damn, this is crazy. Then I remember searching a lot for this and I couldn't find anything. I obviously could find videos, but not for that specific site and the stuff that I was trying to do. But I wonder what kind of information it's gonna get though. It's probably not gonna get everything that I'm thinking. It's probably gonna get only this information and not all this stuff here. Of all the topics, that's the thing. So because I remember that to get some of the information I could get it, but I didn't put enough effort to get everything at the time. But maybe it does get everything. Obviously gonna save this, just see if it does later. The problem is that I can't use scrapey on Windows, I think. So that's gonna be a lot of work to either use WSL or install the virtual machine again. I think I'm gonna ask questions about network hacks now. Yeah, maybe I'll leave them. I don't know. Because I'm more curious about network hacks than the other stuff. But if I'm able to use it for enough time, obviously I'm gonna study everything here. I wanna study everything, every single topic in all these files. I think with GPT then it's a lot easier, but if I can't use GPT, then I'm probably not gonna study everything because it's too much and it's gonna take too much time to research each topic. But just copy pasting and reading through with GPT makes it a lot easier. So I definitely can go through all of them, I think, if I'm able to use GPT. Very interesting stuff. This code uses scrapage to make a request to the devdocs.io website and extract the relevant information about the JavaScript documentation. DevDocs Spider class defines a spider that makes a request to the devdocs.io website and extracts the title and description of the JavaScript documentation, as well as the list of documentation sections. It then loops through each section and extracts the section title and URL. And prints them to the console. To run this code, you need to have script installed. You can then run the code and it will make a request to the docs.io website, extract the information about the JavaScript documentation and print it to the console. Even if it doesn't work, I still think this is very impressive because you're able to get information that is specific to whatever you're trying to do. So, and then you can use this information because it's very hard when you don't know something to know the right questions to ask about things. For example, this thing here, if I didn't see here, I wouldn't be able to search for this because I don't know, obviously, I don't know about the library. And I think this is the power of this tool, actually. You're able, through this kind of stuff, you're able to see these names here, and then you can get these names and then search on your own and makes it easier to find the answers you're looking for. Let me think. Let me search for network X stuff. The problem is difficult to think about how to phrase this. How would you modify network X library so that's when you click a node, it opens a Python file. It's gonna bring some omega-3. To modify the network X library so that when you click a node it opens a Python file, you need to edit the source code for network X and add the necessary functionality. Network X is an open source library, so you're free to make changes to the code and submit them back to the project for inclusion in future releases. Here's an example of how you might add this functionality to network X. Find the node class in the network X source code. This is the class that represents a node in the network. Add an onClick method to the node class. This method will be called when the node is clicked. Inside the onClick method, add code to open the desired Python file. For example, you could use the open function from the built-ins module to open the file. Modify the code that renders the node in the network graph to call the onClick method when the node is clicked. This will typically involve adding an onClick attribute to the HTML element that represents the node in the graph. Once you have made these changes to the network X source code, then use the modified version of network X to create network graph and open Python files when you click on the nodes. However, please note that modifying the source code of a library like network X can be a complex and time-consuming task. It's typically not recommended unless you are an experienced developer if you're not familiar. Can you show me the source code? The thing is, this is a pattern that I've seen so far. That if you ask these types of questions, then it shows a generic response. But then if you rephrase it in a more specific way, then it shows the responses like this, where it actually shows the code. So, and this is usually what I'm looking for, which is to see not only the explanation, but the code and where the files are at. So I have to become better at understanding what kind of questions to ask so that I get the best output. I think if I ask for the source code, it's gonna be better because it's gonna be more specific. But I'm curious to see if I ask, can you show me how you would do that? But I think this is not a good answer because it's gonna give me a shitty response. But I'm curious to see what's gonna respond to that. Here's an example of how you might add the ability to open Python files when you click on a node in the network X graph. First, we need to find the node class in the network X source code. This class is typically located in the network's classes core.py file. Here's an example of the node class. Yeah, I was thinking about it in the JavaScript. I thought that it was talking about the network X from the JavaScript library, not the Python wrapper. But it makes sense. Oh, I can ask questions about the compiler as well, now that I think about it. Like, maybe I can ask, I think I already asked this in the previous streams, but I think if I ask for the source code of the Python interpreter, it might give me something. Maybe I should go to the Python documentation and see, because I don't wanna, I want a faster way to learn than just go over the whole source code. And I think it's probably possible with ChatGPT to do that. I remember seeing, maybe if I search for Python source code. Yeah. So I think it's this CPython. I know there is multiple implementations of Python interpreters, but there is an official one. I think it's CPython, and this is probably all the files that are responsible for the interpreter. But I think if I use ChatGPT, it's probably more efficient to learn than just go over. Eventually, eventually, if I can't use ChatGPT, I'm gonna go over the files to understand better how it works. But just a lot of stuff. And this is the biggest issue, is that the biggest issue with trying to study the source code is that there are so many files that is the problem that I had since the beginning, and that I've been trying to find to create the solution for, which is when you look a bunch of these files, you don't have a general sense of what's happening, and you can't create a hierarchy of importance in your mind for what things to study first, because they are more fundamental to everything and the whole chain of logic of everything. So it becomes very difficult to know what would be the good starting point and how everything is connected, instead of just going file by file. So maybe ChatGPT can help with that. And then it's a matter of thinking about the best way to ask the question so that it's not gonna give me a generic answer. So class nodes. Next, we need to add an onClick method to the node class. This method will be called when the node is clicked, and it will be responsible for opening the file. Here is an example of how onClick methods might look. In this example, the onClick method uses the open function from the built-ins. Next, we need to modify the code that renders the node in the network graph to call the onClick methods when the node is clicked. This will typically involve adding an onClick attribute to the HTML element that represents the node in the graph. Here's an example of how this might look. Create a new node object with the specified naming file attributes. Render the node in the graph. Yeah, I'm not sure about this part though. I don't think it's finished. Yeah, I'm not sure about this part here, because it didn't mention HTML anywhere. Yeah, I need to think about more to be able to ask good questions about this. I think it's better if you're working on something and then you have specific questions about that and then you can ask. That's probably better to... If I was going back and I download the library and then I was trying to get things to work, then probably at that point, once I had questions, it would be better to ask. But now I can't really think about... Because I know that the way that I was thinking about modifying is that you have these files, but I was using a modification of network X. I was using PyVis, and then you have these files that load the HTML for when the graph is created. And those files are made through a Jinja template. And then I remember I was seeing, because they were originally done through a CDN, but then I got the source code and then I put it in files, and then I modified the files with the Jinja syntax. So I was trying to figure out on that context how to modify the creation of the graph so that it has the stuff that I want. And I think if I put more effort, I'm probably gonna be able to figure out. But I can't really think about any good questions to ask in that context that is probably gonna give me a good response, because it's just difficult to phrase it in a way that is gonna know what I'm talking about. Because if I just ask the questions that I'm thinking about, then it's gonna answer based on the context of the way that the library usually works. I think I'm gonna ask the question about the compiler or the interpreter. Can you explain how the Python interpreter works with code examples? Yeah, but this is not gonna be good. And maybe I should ask what files are relevant in the CPython repository, GitHub repository, or how are files connected in the CPython. I think that's probably a better question. I definitely is gonna know about the repository because I think it has been trained on data from GitHub. Source code of Python is a collection of files that make up the Python programming language. These files contain the instructions that define the syntax and semantics of the Python language, as well as the functions and classes that implement the standard library. The Python source code is written in the C programming language and is organized into several directories, each containing a different aspect of the Python implementation. The main directories in Python source code are include. This directory contains the header files that define the C API for Python. Oh, interesting. Oh, this one, nice. Yeah, this is very good. Maybe I should put here. This directory contains the header files that define the C API for Python. These files are used by external programs and libraries that need to interact with Python. Lib, this directory contains the implementation of the Python standard library. It includes modules for working with numbers, strings, lists, dictionaries, and many others. many other common data types and operations. Yeah, so now what I can do is go in each directory and then ask how are all the files on the directory connected to each other, or what each file does. I think that's a very good way to study. But now I'm not sure because there's so many stuff to ask. I'm probably not gonna have time to study this other stuff here today, at least. Because this is the stuff I'm more curious about, because it was harder to find just searching on Google. So I think it's more valuable probably to use it as for the time that is still free, to use it for this stuff, because the other stuff I can search on Google. I think I'm probably gonna spend time on this. I think it's more valuable. This directory contains the implementation of the Python standard library. Okay, read that. Modules. This directory contains the implementation of the built-in modules in Python. These modules provide additional functionality that is not part of the standard library, such as support for working with the file system, network sockets, and other system-level features. Objects. This directory contains the implementation of the Python object system. It includes the base classes for all Python objects, as well as the implementation of the built-in types, such as int, float, string, and list. Parser. This directory contains the implementation of the Python parser. The parser is responsible for converting Python source code into an abstract syntax tree that can be executed by the Python interpreter. Python this directory. Continue. Damn, that's really good. I'm just wondering which one should I go into first. Should I ask questions about first? I think I'm more curious about the parser, but the other ones are also very interesting. The Python directory contains the main Python interpreter in the implementation of the Python runtime. It includes the main function, which is the entry point for the Python interpreter, as well as the code that initializes the interpreter and manages the execution of Python programs. In addition to these directories, the Python source code also contains several files that are used by the build system to compile and install Python on different platforms. These files include the configure script, which is used to configure the build process, as well as make files and other build-related files. Overall, the Python source code is a large and complex collection of files that define the behavior of the Python programming language and the standard library. It is written in the C programming language. It is organized into several directories, each containing a different aspect of the Python implementation. Damn. Maybe I should ask which of the folders, which of the directories, would be best to study first for someone that doesn't understand how the Python interpreter works. Yeah, I think this question is probably not gonna have a good answer. It's too generic. We're trying to understand how the Python interpreter works, and you're new to the Python source code. Python directory would be a good place to start. This directory contains the main Python interpreter and the implementation of the Python runtime. It includes the main function, which is the entry point for the Python interpreter. The Python directory also contains the code that initializes the interpreter and manages the execution of Python programs. By studying this code, you can get a better understanding of how the Python interpreter works and how it executes Python programs. In addition, the objects directory contains the implementation of the Python object system and built-in types such as int, float, string, and list. This can also be a good starting point for understanding how the Python interpreter represents and manipulates data. Overall, the Python objects directories are good starting points for learning about the Python interpreter and how it works. These directories contain the core implementation of the interpreter and the built-in types, and studying them can help you gain a better understanding of how the Python language works at a low level. Damn, that's really interesting. I'm actually surprised that it actually gave an answer. Yeah, the thing is that the more I ask these questions, the more I realize how many questions I can ask about it, about everything. Because now I'm thinking about questions about assembly, about Windows, about everything. Because this stuff, I remember looking for things like this on Google, and it's extremely hard to find things like this, and it's much better, the responses here. This, I feel like this is probably that is a lot better for this type of stuff, I think. Because the other responses that I got for the other topics like philosophy, physics, and stuff like that, they were very good, but I think that they're harder to find. It's harder to find good questions that will give good answers, but with this, I think it's easier to find questions that will give good answers. So maybe what should I ask now? I'm going to the Python file. Can you give me an explanation of how the Python directory is structured? What are the most important files on it? Python directory is one of the main directories in Python source code. It contains implementation. Yeah, I think this is the answer for the previous one. Oh, this is more than, so the first part is the same. This direct contains the main Python interpreter in the implementation of the Python runtime. It includes the main function, which is the entry point for the Python interpreter, as well as the code that initializes the interpreter and manages the execution of Python programs. Python stc, this file contains the implementation of the pys functions, which are used to create and manipulate abstract syntax trees. And this is really good. Definitely gonna write this stuff here. Eval C, this file contains the implementation of the Python interpreter. It includes the py-eval functions, which are used to execute Python code, as well as the code that manages the interpreter's execution stack and handles exceptions. Marshall.c, this file contains the implementation of the Marshall module, which is used to serialize and deserialize Python objects. PyState.c, this file contains the implementation of the PyThread state. And PyInterpreter state structs, which are used to manage the state of threads and interpreters in Python. These are some of the most important files in the Python directory, but there are many others as well. By studying these files, you can gain a better understanding of how the Python interpreter works and how it executes Python programs. You can also learn about the implementation of the Python object system, the parser, and the built-in modules, and how these components work together to provide the functionality of the Python language. In addition to these files, the Python directory also contains several subdirectories, each containing a different aspect of the Python implementation. For example, the modules directory contains the implementation of the built-in modules, such as OS, sys, and math. Modules directory. The objects directory contains, okay, this part's same. Overall, the Python directory is an important part of the Python source code and contains many of the core components of the Python interpreter and runtime. By studying this directory and the files it contains, you can gain a better understanding of how the Python interpreter works and how it executes Python programs. So now I'm gonna ask for it to explain the source code of one of these files. Can you explain the source codes for? A Python file is part of the source codes. This contains the implementation of Python functions, which are used to create and manipulate abstract syntax tree. The syntax data structure that represents the structure of a Python program, and is used by the Python interpreter to execute Python code. Here is an example of the Python as source code. Create a new IST node. Yeah, it is very good, but it's not as good because the explanations are not really. It would be better if there was a block of code and then a bunch of text that explains what is going on. But obviously it's still very good. So now it's gonna explain everything. Interesting. Functions used to create a new SAT node. It takes the node as the first argument, followed by a variable number of additional arguments that is specified the details of the node. The function uses the PyObject method function to create a new node object and returns it to the caller. The PyAstPrint function is used to print the AST to standard out. It takes a node object as its arguments and recursively prints the kind and children of the node. The function uses the PyLongCheck functions to check the type of the node's kind attribute and then uses a switch statement to print the name of the node's kind. It also uses the PyList function to iterate over the node's children and print them as well. Overall, the Python stc file contains the implementation of the PyAst functions, which are used to create and manipulate abstract syntax trees in Python. These functions are used by the Python interpreter to execute Python code, and they play a crucial role in the implementation of the Python language. Yeah, so this creates the node and this prints. I think it's still computing. I think I'm gonna stop after this one. I'm tired already. Definitely, I think I'm probably gonna do some of these off stream. Study these topics here. I'm mostly curious about this stuff because it is the hardest to find just by searching Google. Things of the type of you don't know where you don't know what you don't know, and it's hard to figure out what's the beginning. I think this is probably the most effective thing to use ChatGPT for. So probably this compiler, interpreter, Python interpreter stuff. Maybe ask questions about JavaScript, libuv as well. And the engine, V8 engine as well, should be interesting. And also questions about NetworkX and the project that I was thinking about doing. Maybe also it should be interesting to ask if I put something like create a tree structure that represents the syntax of Python and JavaScript, and there are similarities and differences, something like that. It's taking a long time to finish. Maybe I'm gonna write down so I don't forget. I think this is the last one that I'm gonna put here, and then I'm gonna stop for now. Create syntax tree of Python. Of all the syntax from Python JavaScript showing similarities and differences. I'm gonna wait because I think it's still computing this one.
The mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, but a reality to experience.
Maybe I think I'm gonna reset and then ask. Okay. Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Because if you know all of this stuff about the Python library, it probably does have the syntax. This is the stuff that is kind of weird about this, is that when you, depending on how you ask the question, is like it's not like it doesn't have the information. It's just depending on how you phrase it, it's gonna give you the stuff that you want. And it's very interesting. Well, is the syntax for Python. Yeah, okay, so it's not gonna give it anything. Do you think I'm gonna stop here? I'm probably gonna come back either tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow for 1 hour or two to keep asking this. Oh, it actually showed a lot of stuff. Yeah, but nothing really interesting, I think. So if I don't come tomorrow, probably the next another time. Hopefully ChatGPT is still free by then. If it is free, then I'm gonna continue this exploration. Maybe I think I'll start off by studying. If I don't study this off stream, which I probably will do after I stop streaming now, but there's definitely a lot of stuff here, so I'm probably gonna do some of this, and then I'm gonna do just what I did today, which is start off with some of this, and then after that dive deep into this stuff that I'm more curious about and I couldn't find, or it was really hard to find on my own, searching on Google. So see you next